You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. As always, follow, share, comment, subscribe, all of those things. If you want to take the conversation beyond just listening to the podcast, go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, and join the Roofing Success Facebook group. Today, we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about vision with the one and only Joseph Hughes, Contractor Dynamics. What's up, brother? How are you today?
I am doing great. I'm excited to be here and to talk about some of these things and maybe share some insights to the audience.
Yeah, I would say that we have a very shared audience, but for anyone that doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about Contractor Dynamics, Joseph Hughes, and your new Impact Syndicate.
Okay, well, that can be a mouthful. I'll try to keep it nice and brief for everyone. So Contractor Dynamics, we're in our 9th year of business. We are a marketing training company for the construction industry. So we train contracting companies, roofing companies on how to do their own marketing, run their own content, really take control of their own customer acquisition, their brand, and their recruiting. So that's what we do in a nutshell. I'm based here in New Jersey. We've got a team of 9 people throughout North America, throughout the U.S. And so it's fun to grow, fun to put all those pieces in place, as I know we're all trying to do, right? Put all those pieces in place, grow, and maintain this high level of quality that we want. Let's see. Personally, I live here at the Jersey Shore, where I was born and raised with my wife of 11 years, Alyssa. Our 2 kids are 9 and 7, Hunter and Serafina. And yeah, I love what I do, and love being outside and running and going to the beach and all that good stuff. So a little bit of a personal note there. And then the Impact Syndicate. Yeah, Impact Syndicate is a small mastermind group that I started back in February. So we're in about our 3rd month of that, kind of the first 90-day period where we're testing a few things out, seeing what people are responding to. We've got a group of 20 inside our mastermind, kind of the initial seed test group. And the impetus for that was just to have something that's a little bit not as related to roofing or contracting, something that is where we can come together and work through some of these challenges that we all go through, right? Like how to lead, how to grow, how to kind of be optimal in all areas of our life and our business, and just become the best version of ourselves and be able to have the impact that we all want to have. And so that's been a lot of fun, and it's been a learning experience for sure. Been a lot of fun, and hopefully has been impactful for everyone in it. So that hopefully is a pretty good elevator kind of, not pitch, but elevator, overview of everything.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we were talking, a couple of weeks ago, and I had noticed when you launched Impact Syndicate, and I loved what you were doing with it. And so I was like, let's jump on a podcast and have some of these conversations, because I think the conversations that you're having within your group are so relevant to just business ownership and balancing that, balancing your family, your life, you're leading your teams, all of those things that you're doing there. So we had talked about kind of the first thing that that you really need to get clear on, or what to focus on, is really around, what was it? Your vision, your why, your impact. Speak to that a little bit.
Yes. So we go through different topics inside the mastermind, and we have a couple calls a month. We have a private Facebook group. And so we're talking about things like how to prioritize your week and how to figure out what's important, how to best use your time, which is a challenge for everyone. but that stuff makes no sense, and if you don't put it in the context of like what is the vision. So starting with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says, really getting clear on what it is that you want to accomplish and why. And that, it might be trite. People have heard start with why, Simon Sinek, that the famous TED Talk video. So it's a little bit trite and cliche, but for a reason, right? Like things in our personal lives and our businesses are challenging, and it can be hard to stick with those things, especially when we're tired, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, and things like that. So we have to understand our why and just kind of review that on a regular basis, so that when things do get challenging and we are trying to figure out what we're doing with our week and how to prioritize our week and our time, then it's always in the context of why am I doing this, and how is this going to allow me to have the biggest long-term impact. So I think as a business owner, as a leader, as a sales rep, whatever position you hold in any business, really, there's always like the periods in your business where you're in the weeds, like you're in there, you're on the ground level, but then it's always important to take a step back and kind of look at like what's going on, look at the game plan, look at the longer term picture as well. So balancing that short term with like focusing on what needs to get done today, but in the context of why do I need to get this done today, in terms of like what impact do I want to have on my team, on my family, business, the world, whatever your kind of paradigm is.
Yeah, the people listening, a lot of them are in different stages of their business, right? Some may be a startups. Some people have, 15, 20, 8-figure roofing companies. When do you think is the best time to start to think about those things?
uh like before you start, really, I saw a post in one of the mastermind groups that I'm in this morning. A guy said, hey, I'm going to start a roofing company, does anyone have any advice? And it's like, wow, well, that's an open-ended question for sure. And so yeah, it's before you start, like why do you want to start it? I've toyed with I think I mentioned to you, maybe toyed with the idea
Yeah,
of starting a roofing company, and I did go down that path a little bit, setting up some of the like the LLC and things like that. I couldn't put the brakes on it for a little while, but getting clear on like why do you want it? It's not just about the money. Is it about like having an influence on your local community? Is it about building leaders and providing opportunities to your team members and their families? Is it about helping out your clients? Is it about all the above? So yeah, I mean, never too early. And if you haven't done that, like if you've gotten into business just for the opportunity to make some money, that's cool. That's one of the needs that we all have as human beings. But it's never too late to take a step back and maybe take a day off or a long weekend, or take some time alone and really think about why you're doing what you're doing, and how you can tie what you're doing into a bigger kind of mission, because that's going to enable you to go through those hard times with a little better outlook and better attitude. So even if you haven't done it, it's something that I revisit daily, actually. So it's good to keep that in mind.
for sure. And I think that you'd mentioned something in there that it helps you get through those hard times, because there are always hard times in business, right? There's always, a lot of times we think, well, we just need to get to this level. I just need to hire this person, and all of it goes away. Like everything opens up. But what happens then is that you have bigger problems, right? There's more. A different problem arises, and so there's always these struggles that are happening on an ongoing basis. What are what are some of the most successful companies that you've worked with Contractor Dynamics, or that people that you've known personally? What type of missions have you found that they had that really helped them get through those hard times?
It's about other people. It's not about the money. It's not even about becoming, hey, the best leader that I can become. It is the common denominator. And just like you, I've interviewed lots of companies and people, leaders on my podcast, ranging from startup companies to 9-figure companies and everywhere in between. and the common denominator that I see among the people that I'm like, wow, this guy is like really dialed in, like these guys are killing it. It's that the owner, the leader, is focused on developing leaders within the organization, is cognizant of how many livelihoods they are supporting. Whether it's a small
Mm.
team of 2 or 3 people, hey, we're responsible for the livelihoods of like 2 or 3 families, and that's a huge thing. And there's other companies that are responsible for the livelihoods of hundreds of families. So it's regardless of how many people, the leaders that I kind of resonate with are the ones that are like, they're waking up and they're like, yeah, this is hard, but like, I know these families are depending on this business to be a success. And if I'm going to, screw around as an owner or not be, not be as focused as I need to be, not be as dialed in as I need to be, then that has a trickle down effect on everyone that is relying on this business to be successful. So like with anything else, when you get out, when you take the focus off of yourself and realize like this, everything I do, like if I want to sleep in, if I want to be lazy, if I want to, I mean, this gets pretty granular. This is the way I think about it. Like if I want to go out partying on the weekend or I want to eat like garbage and not take care of myself, well, that has an impact on our team. That has an impact on our clients. That has an impact on so many more people than just me. So, um, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but most
No,
of
but
the leaders that I
it
resonate with and the leader that I
yeah.
want to be, what's that?
No, it makes sense, right? Like it's really that a focus on serving others. Sometimes business owners don't think of their team as the others that they should be serving. They think of their customer as who they should be serving, or even some thinking about a greater cause that they could be serving. But I want to highlight what you said there about your team members and serving your team members. That it's your, the most successful business owners think of that consciously, that they're helping to support these families, right? These people, and helping them grow into a kind of a better version of themselves all the time. That is that what you're to summarize it a little bit?
Yeah, that's something I'm super passionate about. And actually, I was spending my morning working on that today, and 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 I think yeah, everyone can resonate with this as you kind of go throughout that journey of business. When you first start out, like you as the owner, all of your clients. You're working with all of your clients. You're answering phone calls. You're emailing. You're text messaging. All that stuff, and me as well. And so we're getting to that point where that I am no longer able to do that, which is part of growth, right? And I think that holds a lot of people back. It's like, well, I need to be in touch with all my clients and I need to be serving them. And what happens is you think you're serving your clients, but as you grow, you can no longer serve them at the high level that you want to and that they deserve. So then you need to empower your team to be able to serve your clients and help them win. And so that's kind of where we're at now. Like I realize that I don't have that capacity to serve our clients at the high level that they need to be served. So the best thing that I can do is invest in our team and leading them and training them, making sure that they're equipped to help our clients win, which is one of our core values, and really to help them, exemplify our core values every single day. So, any clients of ours that might be listening to this, like I'm focused more on training our team, on leading our team, so that they can in turn lead our clients and help them win, than I am in working directly with clients. And that's an identity thing, because when you first start out, Jim, as you know, like you're the person that's in charge of like pretty much everything, and it
Everything.
becomes your identity. And after doing this for so many years, it can be hard to let go. But it comes back to like, is what I'm doing in the best interest of our clients? And if I'm serving our team and leading our team, then yeah, that's what I believe the path to growth is.
You had mentioned core values, and what we that is a big thing in I think every successful business, and I think that is the place where you transition your vision into kind of action with your team. Is that would you agree there in some ways?
Yeah, 100%. And like core values to me were always something that like, corporate you put them on your website, you kind of forget about them. It wasn't until relatively recently we started implementing them seriously and going over them in every, presentation and client. not every client engagement, but every prospect that we have a Zoom call with, we go through that. It comes up in our content all the time. I mean, I've already mentioned a couple times here. It's just natural at this point. And then when interacting with our team, it's something that we're always kind of celebrating. Like, hey, I just want to share this. Like John really stepped it up and helped one of our clients win. By doing this thing. So it's cool because you can celebrate that way. You can also I don't know, say discipline, but you can self correct and correct team
Yeah.
members. Okay, so hey, what we did here was not in alignment with our core values, so we need to adjust that. Or we have a hard decision to make, so we have this framework, so we can look at our core values and say, okay, well, how do we make this decision based on what our core values are? And it's kind of like a cheat sheet, like a ethical cheat sheet, because you don't have to like make this decision on an island. You have like these core values to consult with to help you make that decision.
What what did you guys do, or what do you work on with your Impact Syndicate members on establishing their core values? How what was that process for you?
Let's see. What was the process? It was looking at, well, and our syndicate is not only business owners. We've got some others in there that are, more like entrepreneurs, or they just want to lead their team or their family or whatever it is. Not just, I don't want to minimize that, but
Yeah.
different people at different levels. So it's, what's important to you? Like, what is the vision that you have? Like, what's the impact that you want to have? Who do you want to impact? What has been true in your life and your business, kind of how do you live your life or business already, and just kind of extract the things that are important to you. It's a work in progress. You do a brainstorm, you talk to your team, you talk with your family. We recently did it as a family, and it was like a couple week process where we did like a big brainstorm, and then you kind of whittle it down to like, what are the most important things and meaningful things.
That's a good one. I heard one, and you could tell me your opinion on this. I thought it was a good one. Like if you've ever had to let an employee go, right? You look at the reasons that you let them go, and your core values a lot of times are the opposite of the way they were acting, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was like another interesting way of getting to what your core values are, right? Like, or if you've worked at a company and you know what you didn't like about the way they treated their customers, or the way they treated their team, or the way, you can also, I think that you can also get there by not just thinking about what you like and what you're striving for, but what you don't like.
Yeah, that's a great. I like that. I like that a lot. I've done that in not with core values, but in business too.
Yeah.
In my role, like it may be hard to figure out like what am I the best at? What should I be doing in my business? But then you can look at the other side and say, well, what do I not want to do anymore?
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
I like that.
So once you have, your vision established, your core values established, another thing that that contractors and business owners deal with a lot is more priority management, right? Like, what are we doing on a day-to-day basis, and how are we making sure that we're doing the right thing to move our business forward? I know you guys are doing work on that also. Speak to that a little bit.
Man, like yeah, that's huge, and everyone, that's a challenge for everyone, right? And we and you might even touch on it too with your clients. It's something that like we have some training on it for all of our clients at Contractor Dynamics, because when it comes down to it, they're not going to be able to do good marketing if they are not prioritizing their time. And in the contracting space, I get it. It's reality that like it's always, it's usually sales, it's production, it's collecting money, it's managing your team, putting out fires, and marketing usually goes to the bottom of that pile, bottom of that stack, if you will. So yeah, priority management is huge. I call it priority management because we don't manage time. Time is what it is. We have 24 hours in a day. I'm a big fan of planning my week out on Sundays and really putting in those big priorities for the week into the calendar, whether it's personal, like workouts, whether it's family things like the kids' sports, or it's business, it's meetings. It's, hey, I need to block off 2 hours to focus on our Q2 rocks and our goals, right? Or I have to, this morning, I blocked off a couple hours to focus on some processes, developing some processes internally that things that were broken. So that was a good use of my time, I believe. So if we don't, because those things aren't urgent, right? It's the whole urgent versus important thing, the Eisenhower matrix, the quadrant thing, if anyone's ever visualized that. And so it's easy to focus on the urgent every day because we get all these messages, whether it's emails, text messages, Facebook messages, phone calls. Those are other people's priorities that and sometimes we do need to tend to those. But if we're not intentional about that, then we're going to live our entire week in our inboxes, focusing on other people's priorities, and we're not going to live in our calendar where our priorities lie. So we have to number one, plan. Number two, put those things in our calendar. And number three, and they're all hard. We got to hold ourselves accountable to saying, okay, it's 9 to 11 a.m. on Thursday. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm going to turn off notifications. I'm going to do this thing, right? And self accountability and self coaching are huge there. So yeah, I mean, I can go on about that forever, but that's huge. I mean, the ability to focus and limit distractions. We don't eliminate them. The ability to focus is like a superpower.
Yeah, I think you made a good point, or you said something that made me think. Getting planning is really important. How do you plan your week?
How do I plan my week? So I do a block, like an hour on a Sunday late afternoon or morning or whatever it is. Most 50 weeks out of 52 of the year, unless we have something like crazy going on. But I really try to prioritize that because there's nothing worse to me. Like if I don't do that on a Sunday, I don't sleep well on a Sunday night. I wake up Monday all flustered and everything like that. And I probably a lot of people can relate to that. So I look at what our targets are for the year as far as like so right now, like we are very crystal right now, it's April 2022. We're crystal clear on what January 1st 2023 looks like, and we're already starting to plan for that. So like, what does that look like? What are the rocks that we have for this quarter, those 90-day big priorities that we need to get done that are going to move the business forward? And then for me, any rocks that I am responsible for or that I'm participating in, I'm going to put those in my calendar and make sure I'm doing those every week. So that's how I do it. I make sure that one of the big things I don't want to say victim to. I hate that, it's a horrible word, but I used to do is I would schedule like, okay, 9 to 11, I'm doing this, and 11 to 12, and 12 to 1, and 1 to 2, and there's no buffer time. And inevitably things just pop up, whatever it is, right? Or things just take longer than we expect. And then I would get all stressed out because I was off track with my schedule. So now I have like 9 to 11, and then 11 to 11:30 is like a literal like yellow. My buffer color in my Google Calendar is yellow. So there's a buffer time in there. So if something takes longer than expected, or even it's just taking a break and getting outside and going for a walk, those things are huge. So yeah, that's how I do that, making sure that those
Yeah,
rocks are in the calendar.
the rocks are in the calendar. So you guys are running EOS. If anyone, you're hearing the word rocks all over the place, that's the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS. The book is Traction by Gino Wittman, is a great book to read on that. If you're not familiar with it, we run EOS in our business too, in our agency. It is a great way to prioritize what to do next. I feel, and but even if you set your rocks, you're doing your weekly level 10 meetings, and you're hitting there, things still get off track, right? So having the calendar, what you're talking about, and prioritizing your calendar is extremely important. I love the buffer, because if you don't leave room for anything in between, or for those curveballs to come at you, how do you deal with it? You're going to have to take time out of one of those important slots out of in your calendar to deal with it, right? So,
Right.
and then how do you, now that you're doing that, you're kind of, I don't know, I guess you're kind of keeping yourself on track, or coach, like I think you referred to it as self-coaching, right? Like you're self-coaching. When we were talking the other day, you were talking about self-coaching. So now you have your priorities on your calendar, but you have to keep coaching yourself to stay on track with that. How can people self coach?
Yeah, it's I don't know if there's a better term for it. That's what I call it. I did it this morning during a workout. Actually, I was tired and it was a hard workout. I did not feel like doing it. Usually, I do feel like working out, but I uh, I had 8 rounds of this kettlebell workout that I was doing, and I was like, after 2 rounds, I'm like, man, if I could just do 4 rounds, that would be awesome. I'll call it a day. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But I was like, you know what? I can't do that because then I'm gonna beat myself up the rest of the day for not doing what I set out to do, for doing what I feel like doing. And so I finished, and that was like a micro self coaching moment. And self coaching is like it's not a formal thing. It's just like holding yourself accountable, right? We're leaders. A lot of business owners, people operating. Maybe you're a solo business owner. Like no one's looking over your shoulder, making sure that you're doing your homework, right? We're all adults. We need to hold ourselves accountable. So the calendar is a great way to constantly have it up like 24/7 on my computer as one of the tabs, looking at it, saying, okay, is this the best use of my time right now? Or hey, I just spent 15 minutes like messing around on Facebook. I didn't mean to do that. I just got sucked into the vortex, which we all do from time to time. And so it's like, okay, don't my tendency would be to beat myself up and be like, oh, you're not using your time well, you're wasting your time, you stink, like what are you doing? But one of my core values again is being impeccable with my word, and that means like watching how you're talking to yourself, right? Like would I talk to someone else like that? No. So I'm not going to talk to myself like that. So, okay, I just wasted 15 minutes on Facebook going down a rabbit hole, watching stupid videos or whatever. That's in the past. And I realize that right now at 1:46 p.m. So from this time, on, I'm going to make the best of the rest of the day. Or if that's too much, I'm going to make the best of the next 14 minutes until 2 o'clock, that sort of thing. So it's realizing that we're not going to be perfect, but just correcting course along the way. That's huge. And we have to be able to do that.
What else helps in that? You talked about building like a win list, like when we were talking the other day. It was like, and I thought that was real interesting.
Yeah, so I have kind of two ways I do that. So the first way is it's called my dynamic day. And so it's a list of 15 things that I do every day because we're never going to get everything done, right? There's always going to be more things that we can do, like always for the rest of our lives. And I get this from my business coach, Mike Claudio. I want to give him credit for it. We just actually talked about it yesterday. And so we can get overwhelmed if we get to the end of the day. And I know it happens to all of us. Like, hey, I didn't accomplish these things. I feel a sense of anxiety. It's hard to be present with my family or, do what I need to do to relax. And those things are important. We need to do those things. So the win list is like, okay, as long as I got these 15 things done this day, today, I won the day. And there's always going to be things that I didn't get done. But those 15 things I know are going to create positive forward momentum for my life and for my business. So some of the things for me personally, I read, I write, I pray, I meditate, I take a cold shower, I work out. And then some of the things business wise are I reach out to, I do basically 4 business development touches a day. So that can be prospects, that can be strategic partners for like a roofing company, that could be like reaching out to a realtor, an insurance agent, a general contractor, someone from your BNI group, just like making those touch points every day because we can't control if someone is going to sign a contract with us today. We can say, hey, my goal is to get a new client today. Well, that's cool, that can happen, but that's outside of our control. But if our goal is a process goal of like, hey, I'm going to do 4 touch points every single day, and I know that by trusting that process and doing that consistently, that those clients will come. That for me is how I win the day, and it helps you to relax a little bit because you're like, I got this list in my notebook of all these things I want to do, and I know I'm not going to get them done. But if I can just get these 15 things done, I win the day. So
So
that's
it's like your core things that you do on a daily basis that help you succeed in life, essentially, right? Like it's kind of a simple, to simplify it a little bit.
yeah.
Then you have the your to-dos on your calendar that you're prioritizing. You're getting all these things done because if you get these things done, things are moving forward. And then and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but now the things that are on your calendar are more are bigger things? Like,
Mhm.
or would you take those, if you have a certain number of prospects that you need to reach out to, um, would you put that in like as a calendar event too?
That I guess that depends on your role within the
Okay.
company.
Yep.
So, if you are like a part of your as an owner, if you're a part of your sales team, which not every owner is, I am. So yeah, I will put business development time into my calendar. But not every day. That might be a couple blocks a week or whatever it is, working on the pipeline, things like that. But the touching, prospect touch points, that can be a text message, that can be a Facebook message, that can be a quick email. Usually for me, it's not a phone call because that's usually not quick. But yeah, I mean, certainly if you are in the business development department or sales department of your company, then that should definitely be in the calendar. Because we've all been there when you
Yeah.
get busy and you forget to focus on business development and sales and marketing and your pipeline, and then because you're busy doing the work, and then you finish whatever projects you're doing or clients you're working with, and then you look at your pipeline like, oh man, it dried up because I didn't pay attention to it. So it requires daily attention, just like your health, just like your fitness, right? You can't neglect those things just because you're busy.
And I like what you said too, is that when these things get off track, it, it, it's this is a big challenge that I've always faced, is that then you bring it home with you,
Yeah.
right? Then you're not present with as present with your family. You're thinking about those problems that you missed on the day. What what types of things have you worked on in your life that have helped you find that balance and being able to at least try to shut some of that off for family time?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like it's a challenge for me, like having open loops, I call them. Those things stress me out. I do sleep pretty well, but if I am up in the middle of the night, those open loops are the things that are going on in my head, and I think everyone can nod their head along to that. And so I don't know. I do know. I mean, I do work on it, but having that win list is great. Like checking off those 15 things every day, so I can close that book, close the laptop, close my phone or whatever it is at the end, whatever you do at the end of the day to say, okay, there's always going to be, I think number one is being realistic and knowing that you're never going to get it all done. There's always going to be more things to do. And that's why it's so important to make sure that at the very minimum, you're focused on those priorities, on those rocks. Right. Um, and so, yeah, that win list has been huge. Having some sort of end of the day ritual. If you're working from home, maybe that is just closing your computer down. Maybe it's like I'll put my phone in a drawer, like and turn it off so I don't have it in my pocket. Because we're all always tempted to whip it out, like, oh, you just got to check this one thing or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I will literally put it in a drawer and turn it off, and so I don't use it. Or if I'm coming home from somewhere, I'll leave my phone in the car and go in and do dinner and family time, and then before bed go out and get my phone so I use that as my alarm. I need to have it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those things just kind of, yeah, like willpower is not enough. So we need to like do things like that to, in my opinion, to kind of close the book on the day.
Yeah, willpower is not enough,
No.
especially if you have that entrepreneurial spirit in you. Like, it never ends, right? My brain, it's very difficult for me to shut my brain off about work, but it's also because I enjoy my work, right?
Right.
It's like oh well, what else can we do? How cool would that be if what you know like
Yeah.
and so it's very challenging, but that those are great ideas. Put the phone in a drawer, leave the phone in the car, right? That's a good one.
And
Um,
and
yeah,
those ideas, and sorry to jump in, those ideas
no,
always, like, they never stop, right? So, and we don't want to lose those because that could be the next big idea. So I'm a big fan of having the old trusty old notebook. And so if those ideas come at night or whatever, as I'm going to bed, I'll write them down in my notebook. That way I'm not tempted, to go into my phone and then, I'm just going to go into my phone and type this one thing, this idea out. I use Evernote. to log ideas. But then you're on like, oh, there's notification from Facebook and Instagram,
Uh-huh.
this other thing.
The
So
social dilemma, Joe. You built
yeah.
contractor dynamics on the social dilemma, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that you teach people to manipulate the algorithm. No,
But
like,
yeah,
but we all get caught up in that, right? It was pretty interesting, that movie. To me, it was like, wow, email gets me, right? So I get an email notification. I go into email and I'm down a hole. Like, I am, I'm all through every social media app. I'm checking my SoundCloud numbers for podcast streams. Like,
oh,
where
okay.
did I get here? Like, how did I get? It
Yeah.
it could go. It could suck you in really, really fast.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, I mean, you coach people on social media marketing. We do social media advertising in our side of things, the paid ad side of things. And man, it's really effective, right? And it's
Yeah.
effective because of that, right? It's crazy how people just get sucked in, and that's where the eyeballs go. um, Now that, we've talked about a little bit about, they've established their vision, their core values. They're working on their priority management. I love that you call it priority management versus time management. I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it. Self coaching on that. Now, on a day-to-day basis, as your company is growing, or if you're leading a larger organization, a lot of there's a lot, kind of the next phase of it maybe is in the way that you're communicating that vision and the priorities and things like that to your team, and helping to keep them on track and elevate them. um, maybe talk about how you can clearly communicate as a leader.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and it's something I love to do. So with I love marketing. I love the messaging of marketing, like trying to figure out the right messaging to tap into your ideal prospect. Like I love that. Like I geek out over it. And so I think it's similar with your team. It's like, how can I communicate with my team in such a way that communicates the vision and, enables everyone to be dialed in as far as they know what their role is. They know how to manage their priorities. And we're a remote team, like we're all over the country, so it's even more important to make sure that we're communicating, because we're not shoulder to shoulder every day. I mean, rarely are we, unless there's an event or something like that. So that forces us to become better communicators. And so one of the things I realized actually just yesterday, uh, we have our, I guess our training team, our coaching team is about five of us. I would, yeah, five of us right now. And Elizabeth, who is my kind of our client success director, kind of like my second in command, she said, hey, I think we're not all on the same page with the way that we're like delivering our training and guiding clients and things like that. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We have like, I feel like we're not operating as a team right now. Like we are individually providing good advice and good training and helping clients, but we want it to be a consistent experience. So no matter if a client is talking with me or Elizabeth or John or whoever, then they're getting that consistent experience. So I said, we need to come together, and we're having a meeting this coming Monday to like kind of get back on the same page with everything. And it's interesting. I think you had Chuck Toki on your podcast
Oh
recently.
yeah, yeah,
So,
twice. Yeah, I love Chuck.
oh
Yeah,
yeah. So
Chuck's
likewise,
awesome.
great guy. He actually made a post this morning. He said, do you have a group of sales reps, or do you have a sales team?" And that was like, wow, that was awesome. And I was like, that's exactly, not exactly, but I said we have a group of really good trainers on our team, and we are a team, but I think we can more cohesively operate as a team. So that was something that was a light bulb for me, the way that he put it, right? And I think a
Yeah.
lot of roofing companies have that, right? You have a bunch of sales reps, but are they really operating as a team? And so communicating the vision, starting with the end in mind, the core values are huge. What that next base camp is. Like I said, for us, it's January 1st, 2023. Like, where are we going? And so how are we developing our processes internally that are going to work at that level, not necessarily where we're at right now. And then again, what are those 90-day rocks? What are those quarterly rocks that are important for our company? So, yeah, I mean, that having that structure of like an EOS or something like that, as
Yeah,
you know, is so critical for team communication, for getting people on that same page.
it is. And I think in what you said, you have to have an understanding that there's going to be ebbs and flows and things, right? Like that things are going to get on track and then they're going to get a little off track every now and then they're going to come back on track. You get it back on track, and then, especially as you expand and grow, sometimes you can't see the problem that you'll have down the road, right? You can try to anticipate it, but sometimes until you get there, you're like, oh, now we have to readjust course a little bit because we're doing that.
Yeah.
It's a challenging thing, but it's always, I mean, if you love business, that's business, right? It's problem solving. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sometimes we lose sight of that. We become like, have that victim mentality, like, oh, why,
Yeah.
why am I going through this challenge? It's like, well, hey, and then it goes back to your why. It goes back to like, what impact do you want to have? It's like, well, this is what I signed up for, because this is my why. I signed up for these challenges, and
Yeah,
here we are. This is exactly what I signed up for. So embrace it and work through it.
definitely. So I know, you work with a lot of roofing contractors. You've been around the business for a long time. You have some really, some successful clients, successful friends in the industry. What do you think the greatest insight is that you could share with our audience that will help them find success in their roofing business?
Wow. That's that's a loaded question. Let's see. Really, like, being one of our core values here at Contractor Dynamics is continually learning and improving and evolving. And so having some way, whether it's EOS, or whether it's coaching, or whether it's just simply putting in your calendar, like every Friday for me, I block off. Generally don't have any scheduled calls. That's my day for working on the business, reflecting, planning. So that's key. And I think in the contracting industry, roofing, I grew up in the contracting industry. I know it's firefighting. It's putting out fires every day. It's like, and if you are not intentional with spending that time and energy into reflecting, reviewing, planning, leading, communicating, then you'll build something, but it might not be what you want. And chances are it's going to be a chaotic mess. And I'm not perfect. I'm working through those things too. But like, number one is being intentional about what you want, and then making sure that you are spending that time on a weekly basis I mean, it's, the work on the business, not in the business. Yeah, it's so true. Fridays for me are my work on the business day, and that I protect those Fridays as much as I possibly can in terms of not having calls or anything like that. So that's a big one for me, that being intentional about that, and then committing to focusing on those things.
Awesome, man. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors: How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.